Hello, I'm MK Davis. When the French first came to this area where I live, here in the Deep South, they encountered a tribe of local people, indigenous people, that they said were different from the other Indian tribes, and were nearly extinct when they got here, and they were, as far as we know, the first white people in this area. And they said there were only about 600 of them existing at that time, and they subsequently went extinct. But they gave these people a name, and it was based upon the name that they call themselves, but with a French twist, and they call them the Yazoo. And the name Yazoo, the literal meaning is river of death, and it was sort of denoting these people's warlike tendencies, that they were very warlike and were very dangerous people, and they ended up massacring and killing everyone in a French fort on a little town called Redwood, Mississippi. These same people had an encampment alongside an old part of the cutoff of the river, Yazoo River, and just outside of the town of Yazoo City. And this encampment, and for many years I used to go out there as a kid. It's in a field, and they had a couple of mounds out there, and eventually got dozers and dozed the mounds down, because of the inconvenience of having those mounds in the field and having to plow around them. And the plow began to turn over, a whole bunch of different layers of dirt, and kind of a homogeneous mix of the old and the new. But what sort of struck me, and down through the years, and I know more about it now than I used to, was the very old and very aged type of arrowhead construction and weapon construction, and I wanted to kind of go over that tonight a little bit, and kind of show you what I've been finding, what I have found, and it's kind of interesting. Let's just take a look. And here's a collage of different images of arrowheads, and the one on the upper left that shows the three different positions there with the black background. This is a type of arrowhead that's monofacial. In other words, it's only been worked on one side. And it's some of the oldest of the old. The technology is old. It's the most primitive type of arrowhead. Like I said, this is called the Levallois method of arrowhead making. It's one of the most primitive methods. And if you see this right here, this animation, they would chip away the edges of a piece of rock, and then strike the center, and the piece that comes off would be their arrowhead. I began to notice in this site where the Yazoos were that this type of arrowhead making had been employed there. And so here's some examples in this photo. Let's take a look at the photo here. First of all, let's take a look at the platforms, what they call the platforms. Look at the lower left. You see they chip away the outer edges, and then they strike the center, and an arrowhead will come off like that in the center on the top, with the wood grain background. You see it's been worked on one side. Look at all the last three on the right there. They're all three the same piece. You see that they're smooth on the back side and worked on the front side. And this is all the Levallois method that they employed, which is prehistoric. It's older than old. It's the oldest method there is, and it predates modern humans. And that really set me back, because this site seems to have these type methods employed there. So who were these people? All of the pieces that you see on the bottom row are referred to as tortoise cores. They look like a turtle. And they're cores, and they would strike them on one end, and the hump in the middle would come off as a single flake, and that would be their arrowhead, worked on top but smooth on the bottom. Monofacial, the oldest of the old. A friend of mine that used to have a track hoe business was working along near a mound near the town of Belzoni, Mississippi, called the Jaketown Mound. And he dug up a petrified bone. It was a joint, a knee joint. And he took it and had it looked at by a museum, and they said it was the knee joint of a camel. Well, camel was an Ice Age animal. So, it's pretty clear to me that from the methods that they made their arrowheads to the finding of this knee joint from a camel, that these pre-human, and the journals all say that these were employed by pre-human or pre-modern human people. This is going to go back to the Ice Age, and when it says pre-human, it doesn't mean that they're not humans that are making it, but they are before modern humans. They are the Neanderthals or Cro-Magnons or of that type, somebody that predates modern humanity. And it's very interesting to me that the French noted that there were a group of them still there that looked very different from the rest of the indigenous populations around there, and they were very nearly to the point of extinction when the French arrived. So they weren't mixing with other groups. They were staying to themselves, and they had just about depleted as a people. But and I wonder myself if these weren't some ragtag group that had survived until the modern times from the Ice Age at this particular site. It's pretty interesting stuff. I thank you for your time.